The moment you start explaining yourself, you have already lost. Not the argument, not the conversation. Something quieter than that. Something you keep giving away without noticing. Think about the last time someone asked you a simple question. Why didn't you come? Why did you say that? Why did you do it that way? One sentence. That is all it needed. But that is not what came out. What came out was a paragraph, a timeline, a list of reasons nobody asked for. Not like exhausted tired, just mentally tired. I wanted to come, I just didn't want to show up low energy. Not that I don't enjoy it. I do. I just sometimes need to recharge. You know, the person nodded, but they stopped listening after the first 3 words. Here is what that moment actually was. It was not an answer. It was a confession. And the confession was not about the event. It was about you. About needing them to walk away with a specific version of you in their head. By the end of this, you will not just recognize the habit. You will see exactly what it has been protecting you from, and why that protection stopped working a long time ago. Chapter 1. The moment. Let's rewind to the last time this happened. Someone asked you a simple question. Why didn't you come to the event? Why did you say that? Why did you do it that way? A simple question. One sentence answer. Done. But that is not what came out. What came out was a paragraph, a timeline, a series of qualifiers that arrived before anyone asked for them. Not like exhausted tired, just mentally tired. I wanted to come, but I didn't want to show up low energy. Not that I don't enjoy it. I do. I just sometimes need to recharge. You know, the person nodded, but honestly, they stopped listening after the first 3 words. It started as an answer. It became a confession. And the confession was not about the event. It was about you, about needing them to walk away with a specific version of you in their head. The version that is not careless, not selfish, not wrong. Here's what no one tells you about that moment. The question was not the trigger. Your reaction to the question was the trigger. Because somewhere between their question and your answer, something happened. A small internal alarm went off, and you responded to the alarm, not to the question. That alarm has a name, and it has been running in the background of more conversations than you realize. Chapter 2. What you are actually doing. Let's get specific. Because this habit has 3 distinct behaviors inside it, and you do all 3 without knowing it. First, you answer questions no one asked. Someone says, "Did you see my message?" And you say, "I wasn't ignoring you. I saw it. I just got distracted. I was going to reply. They asked if you saw it." That's all. But your brain translated the question into an accusation. So you defended something that was never attacked. Second, you apologize for your opinions before you give them. I think maybe we could try this. If everyone's okay with that, no pressure. You had an idea. Then you dismantled it before anyone else could. You preemptively rejected yourself so no one else would have the chance to. Third, you explain your tone before you have even spoken. I don't mean this in a rude way, genuinely. I'm just saying, you haven't even said the thing yet. And you are already damage controlling it. Apologizing for a reaction that hasn't happened. Look at what these 3 behaviors have in common. You are answering questions no one asked, defending things no one attacked, apologizing for damage that never happened. You are not communicating. You are managing. And managing is exhausting because you are doing the other person's interpretation work for them before they have done any of it. You are living 3 steps ahead in a conversation that hasn't gone anywhere yet. Your words are not landing because you are burying them before they hit the ground. Chapter 3. What it is costing you here is the part that should land hard. You think over-explaining makes you clearer. It doesn't. It makes you less credible. Psychologically, when someone gives a long, unprompted explanation, The listener's brain does something automatic. It flags it, not as dishonesty, as instability. Because people who are solid do not need to keep talking. They say the thing and let it stand. People who keep adding to a statement, they signal, without meaning to, that the statement cannot stand on its own. You become less believable the more you try to be believed. And there is a second cost, one nobody names. When you overexplain, you are indirectly asking the other person to reassure you, to say, "It's okay, I believe you, I don't think badly of you." But they didn't agree to that. They asked a simple question, and now they are holding your emotional weight without signing up for it. That creates discomfort, not judgment. Discomfort. You are asking people to reassure you about a crime you did not commit. And that discomfort, it makes people slightly less likely to ask you things next time. Slightly less likely to include you, not because they dislike you, because interactions with you quietly cost them something. And here's the line that will stay with you. You are not afraid of being misunderstood. You are afraid of being seen. Misunderstanding is about information. What you are managing is something deeper. You are managing what they think of you, and you are doing it preemptively, constantly, in every direction. This is not a communication problem. Not yet. It is a permission problem. You have not given yourself permission to be exactly who you are, without footnotes. Chapter 4. The mechanism here is what is actually running underneath all of this. Psychologists call it self-monitoring. It is your brain's continuous process of checking how you are being perceived and adjusting your behavior based on that feedback. Every social creature does this. It is normal. It is necessary. But here is where it breaks. People who are highly sensitive to how they are being perceived, they don't just adjust when they get negative feedback. They adjust in anticipation of negative feedback that hasn't arrived yet. They are constantly pre-correcting, pre-defending, pre-apologizing. The result is a person who is perpetually one step behind their own words, always cleaning up a mess that hasn't happened, always apologizing for an accident that didn't occur. And here is the cost specific to overexplaining. Your brain runs a credibility check on your own statements in real time. It says this answer might not be enough, so it adds more. Then it says this might still not be enough, so it adds more. The loop has no natural stopping point, because the loop is not looking for accuracy. It is looking for safety. Your first answer was right. Your brain just didn't trust it. And every sentence you add after that first answer, it trains your brain to trust the first version even less next time. You are not building clarity with repetition. You are building doubt. The habit does not protect you from being misunderstood. It reinforces your belief that you need protecting. Chapter 5. The identity problem. This is not a communication problem. Let's be honest about what it actually is. When you say to a friend, "I can't make it," and they say, "Okay, no problem," do you believe them, or do you spend the next hour wondering if they are secretly upset? If you wonder, that is not their problem. That is the habit. You are not hearing they're okay. You are hearing what you would have meant if you had said it. You are projecting your own self-doubt onto their reaction. You assume they need more explanation, because you would need more explanation if the roles were reversed. But they are not you. They're okay. No problem means okay. No problem. Here's the real issue. You do not trust your first version. Not because your first version is weak, but because somewhere along the way, you decided that who you actually are, without editing, without softening, without pre-apologizing, is not safe to put in a room. So you send a representative instead, a carefully managed version of you that has already anticipated every possible objection and neutralized it before it could land. And the representative exhausts you because maintaining a performance is always harder than just being a person. You do not need more words. You need more trust in your first one, that first answer, that first opinion, that first version of what you actually think. It was enough. It always was. The habit just convinced you it needed backup. Chapter 6. Where the habit locked in. This habit did not arrive randomly. It locked in somewhere specific. Think about it. There was a person in your life, a partner, a parent, a friend, a room full of people, a place where being misunderstood had a real cost, where a short answer created conflict, where silence was read as guilt, where you had to explain your tone, your intention, your meaning, just to get back to neutral. And one time, the over-explaining worked. You explained enough, long enough, carefully enough, and the other person finally softened. The tension broke. The accusation was dropped. You were believed. Your brain registered that as a successful strategy. More words equal safety. Explanation equals survival. So it kept the strategy, filed it, made it automatic, and started applying it to every situation from that point forward. The colleague who is genuinely just asking a question, the friend who took your no at face value, the room full of people who are not analyzing you at all. That was a survival strategy for one room. You are still using it everywhere. The habit made sense once, in a specific context, with a specific person, where the threat was real and more words genuinely helped. The problem is not that you learned it. The problem is that the situation which required it is gone, and the strategy stayed. You are explaining yourself to people who are not that person, in rooms that do not require that performance. But your nervous system does not distinguish. It just fires the same response. Because it worked once. And once is enough for a habit to decide it is permanent. Chapter 7. The pattern interrupt. You cannot fix this by trying to talk less. That just becomes another performance, another thing to manage. You will end up monitoring your silence the same way you monitored your words. The shift is not behavioral. It is one question. One question. Before you add the next sentence, ask yourself, did they ask for more? Not, did it feel necessary? Not, was my first answer enough? Did they actually ask for more? If yes, explain. If no, stop. That is the entire shift. Not a mindset overhaul. Not a communication course. One question. Applied in real time. In the very next conversation that triggers the alarm. Here is what will happen when you try it. You will stop mid-sentence. Your chest will tighten. The urge to add one more qualifier will arrive right on schedule, and you will let it pass without acting on it. And nothing bad will happen. The conversation will continue. The person will not look at you differently. The silence after your statement will not be filled with judgment. It will be filled with nothing, because most people are not analyzing your answers. They are already thinking about their next sentence. Silence after a statement is not weakness. It is authority. The people whose words land the hardest, they say them once, and they wait. They do not chase the landing. They trust it. You are not responsible for what someone decides to believe after you speak. You are responsible for saying the true version once, clearly, and letting it stand. What they do with it is their job, not yours. Over-explaining does not make you clearer. It makes you smaller. Every extra word says the same thing. My first version was not enough. And every time you say that, you make it true. Your first version was enough. The habit just convinced you otherwise. Say it once. Let it land. Move on. That is not rudeness. That is someone who has finally decided their words do not need a bodyguard. And if you watched this whole thing, you already know exactly who you were explaining yourself to yesterday.